Hi, in this video, we're going to build a beautiful big pergola. It's going to provide a lot of shade. It's actually fairly easy. You need an extra set of hands to help you out, and it's only going to take 3 days. So this isn't a freestanding 4-post pergola. This is going to have 2 posts, and it's going to be attached to my bar cabana. And we're going to put 2 posts 5 feet off of the bar cabana and cantilever over a couple of beams. In order to be sure that we're going to be square off of the bar cabana building, we're going to use a simple technique using a string line. So I'm going to attach the string on a nail way behind my building right here. Now I'm taking the other end of my string and I'm just going to pull tightly and draw back until I'm touching both the back corner and the front corner of the building, and just tack into the ground. This is a critical step. This is what's going to ensure that my post is sitting parallel to the building. And now, using my tape measure, I'm going to take the distance off of my building that I want for the center of my posts and just mark my string, and I'll be removing all of these stones, and this is where we're going to dig our post hole. The first patio stone is the hardest to get out, so what I do is I use 2 screwdrivers and just lift the stone out, and you'll need a second pair of hands to grab it. So I've removed about 18 inches clearance of my interlock pavers, centered around where I'm going to dig my post hole, and now I'm going to take a garden trowel and just remove the limestone to be reused for when I put them back. If you want to make it a little easier to figure out the pattern, you can pull out the stones, put them aside in the exact same pattern that you've removed them from the ground. Okay, so now I'm just taking another string line and aligning it to the tape measure on the distance I need off my building. And I've already marked the other side, so this gives me a perfect square. So this is probably the most difficult part of the whole project, where we need to dig the holes. So Robert is using our crowbar to loosen up the gravel and soil, following the string line to be centered in the hole. Using the hand auger to then grab at the loose material and remove it from the hole. Trying to stay cylindrical and vertical all the way. Okay, so we've finished digging our post hole to a depth of 4 feet. And it's about an 8 to 10 inch diameter because we're using a 6x6 post. I suggest you check your building code for your area. We're in a cold climate area, so that's why we need to dig 4 feet deep. My post that I'm going to drop into my post hole is going to sit nice and square in this corner of the string. Okay, we've put our 6x6 posts into the holes. They're 12 feet long, so 4 feet are in the ground and about 8 feet coming out of the ground. And we've aligned them so that they fit right inside the corner of our string lines. Now we'll get ready to pour the cement inside the post holes. Now we're filling in the post holes around the post with quick set rapid post cement, and we mix with water at the same time. Now my posts are fully set. Okay. So we marked the bottom of the joists that are going to be coming across from my bar cabana, and I just took my level and made sure that when drawing a line across both faces of my 6x6 post, that they're connected and that they're level. My two 2x10 beams are going to rest parallel to my bar cabana, and they're going to hold up all of the joists that come off of the bar cabana. And the 2x10 is actually going to be a little higher than this, and the reason for that is all these 2x8s, they're going to be notched 2 inches. So they're going to connect and click with these 2x10s. So I need to go to figure out the bottom of this 2x10. on both sides, I need to take off 2 inches, which is going to be 7 1/4. So I'll make a mark 7 1/4, and I'm always going to use my level because this is critical. This is the bottom of my 2 large beams. Okay, so for our beams, we decided to put a chamfer on each side, which is basically to say we're gonna cut an angle. So it looks nice and decorative, and we're gonna do that to all the joists too. The angles are gonna match. For the 2x10 beam, we already measured to figure out that we like best to go about 5.5 inches up and 11 inches across. And we'll just cut this off with the saw. Okay, so now with the help of someone else, we've tacked in our beams, and what we've done is we've put a screw on the bottom on both sides, and this is to make sure that when we drill for our carriage bolts that we're not going to hit a screw. So there's a screw just on the bottom of where I'm going to have 2 carriage bolts, and on the other side we put the screws on the top of where we're going to have the carriage bolts. Okay, so I've marked my pilot holes, and now I'm going to just drill with a spade bit so that the carriage bolt can go through. Don't put too much pressure, otherwise you'll burn the bit, or worse, snap it. Okay, we're on day 2, and what we're doing right now is we're putting up our ledger board against our building, and this is lined up to the post. So we're going to attach our joists, the first joist against this ledger board, and the rest are going to be against it. So now we're going to start cutting our joists, and what I've done is I've chamfered the edges individually, and to make sure that the outsides all line up beautifully, the lengths, I know the distance that I want to each of the beams, so I've actually just clamped 3 together. I'll cut 3 at a time, and I've measured out the distances for each of the beams and marked where I'm going to basically notch out, and they're going to be 2 inches deep. If you recall from the beginning of the video, they're going to notch 2 inches into each of the beams, and we're going to use a circular saw now to just cut a whole bunch of wafers within where the beams are going to go, and just knock them out and use a chisel to basically just plane it out a little bit, and then take them apart and fit them. We'll cut the lengths at the end. This way we're sure that we haven't cut them too short. So now that we've cut all of our wafer cuts, all we're going to do is basically just break these apart and knock them out using my chisel. Okay, so I've just filed down some of the rough edges so that we have nice clean notches to put inside our beams. I figured out my spacing is going to be 12 inches apart off center. So what I've done is I've cut a jig, so just a block of wood to account for the inside gap, and I'm using fence rail holders. These are a little nicer than using the full joist hangers because they show way too much on top of this front plate. So I've already secured my first one, And I'm just using it to figure out my next gap. There you go. Perfect. So now I've cut my joists to length, and I'm just going to drop them into place. Take a little bit of persuasion. It's better if they're tight. Now I'm just going to screw into my joists. There's pre-drilled holes on the brackets that I installed to make it easier for you. I use my level. Make sure the board is level, a little bit of persuasion, and then at the top I'm just going to toenail it in, just being very careful how far back you go. You don't want the nail, or the screw to go all the way through. So now we're going to cut our lats that are going to go across the top of the joist. We've measured, and we're going to need 2 pieces per row. So I can gang 5 together and use the compound miter saw to cut 5 at a time. Okay, so we've cut ourselves a jig so we get equal spacing on the lats. We're pre-drilling and countersinking for screws. We're only going to put screws every 3rd joist and a long 3-inch finishing nail in between. We've pre-cut all the lats to length, and we're starting actually from the front, working our way back. We've already figured out our spacing, which is about 6 inches apart off center. That's it, we're all done. It was a 3-day project, fairly straightforward and easy. Now I've got beautiful shade in front of my bar cabana. So if you like that, please smash the like button, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be adding a whole bunch of additional content for people to fix things around the house. Thank you.